Ray Allen Canine. It's no secret that we love Ray Allen Canine Equipment. We use their products every single day at both Van Ness Canine and at Torchlight. Their mission statement says it all: to be the world leader in quality innovation for professional canine equipment for police, military, Schutzen, and ring sport. Tend to exceed their customers' expectations and deliver on time every time at a fair price. We full-heartedly believe that they've held true to that, since it is our go-to one-stop shop for everything canine, not just police dogs, but for any working dog.
This episode is also brought to you by our good friends over at Dogtra, dogtra.com. It's the e-collars that Ted and I use. It's e-collars most police dog guys use. Dogtra.com, e-collars, bark collars, ball launchers, one-stop shop for everything you need for your working dog, dogtra.com.
One of the other sponsors we're proud to have is Hitz Canine Training Conference. It's the premier canine training seminar in the United States, packed to the brim with the world's best instructors covering important topics from admins to liability to detection work, all and tracking and everything in between. There's no better place to learn and no better place to network with other handlers, breeders, and trainers. Hitz 2022 is being held in Orlando in August. So hit them up, hitzcanine.net.
We're super happy to be represented by our good friends at Kinetic Dog Food. We've got great reviews from people all over the place. Ever since we joined up with them and partnered with them, their commitment to your dog's nutrition is top notch. KineticDogFood.com. Check them out.
Jim over at NC Canine out in North Carolina. It's the culmination of 13 years of experience in handling or training law enforcement canines. They use real-world deployments to develop their training program and rely not only on their experience, but the current experience of the nation's canine handlers provide the best canine partner you can get. They provide pet training and police canine training based out of Four Oaks, North Carolina, and they serve the surrounding areas as well as nationally. Feel free to call them and learn more about their dog training program, police canine techniques, and methodologies.
We got a brand new sponsor, man, American Aluminum Accessories. My entire time in canine, and ever since I've been involved in the dogs, the kennel in the back of our cruisers has always been American Aluminum. Check them out. We're so happy to have them on here. EasyRiderOnline.com, EasyRiderOnline.com for everything you need from American Aluminum Accessories.
Speaking of kennels, once you get out of the car, you got to have somewhere to put them. So our friends up in Ohio at Horizon Structures make a one-stop shop for kennel. If you want a 2-dog kennel or if you want a 20-dog kennel, they got you covered. They get those things built and they drop it off at your house. All you got to have is a pad, electricity, and water, and you can put dogs in it that day. Horizon Structures can build you anything from mild to wild, and it is the one-stop shop, and you don't have to swing a single hammer. So hit them up, horizonstructures.com.
All right, everybody, Working Dog Radio, we are back broadcasting The Bite. As usual from Ohio, my name is Eric Stambro. With me, as always, is our co-host, Ted Summers from Tulsa, Oklahoma, sleeveless as usual. Ted, is that your hey fuck face hat by any chance that you're wearing?
No, it says Okie on it. It was a gift from somebody. But
all right,
no, it's hot. I don't wear sleeves when it's hot. What do you want me to say?
That's true.
It's hot. I don't wear sleeves when it's hot.
All right. So what's going on over there in Tulsa?
Pet dogs and pet dogs and some police doggo stuff. I'm in the final stretches of getting the VA program finished. And that will be done, God, I hope by the end of the month, maybe like the first week of August, but then I should be good to go. And we got to do the site eval and everything else. After that, I'll be good to go.
They come out and do a site eval.
They make sure that we have like ADA compliant stuff, and which is what I understand, because we have these like physical requirements and restrictions. Like, you can't be a police canine trainer if you can't walk type thing. So they're like, oh, but you have to have ADA compliant bathrooms. I'm like, what? Okay. Well, and so we're building them anyway to be ADA compliant for code, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But they do some checks on like your accounting and some record keeping stuff, and how we keep records for students. So, but other than that, it's all just the hard part is done. The part of writing the fucking catalog. That if you're listening to this and you want to go through the VA program, the catalog I send you, which is like the course outline and course description, that's what I've been writing for the last, or what Alicia and I have been writing for the last forever. So that part's almost done, and then I'll be good to go. But
when them dudes show up to do the site eval and they want to see how you're going to keep the records, you should show them an Etch-a-Sketch, and you'll know from his reaction if he's going to be cool or if this is going to be a long day.
So my intern, who is already pre-approved, is a veteran, and he's like, "What the?" And he's like, "What the fuck? What does the VA need to do? Need to question you about record keeping at all? Like, I'll
Yeah.
show up for an appointment and they act like they have no idea what's going on."
Yeah, it's
And
in crayon.
yeah, he's like, "I don't." He was like, "I wouldn't trust that too much." I'm like, "Hey, I'm just checking the boxes off, man. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. What else happened? Oh, I had a. Damn it." So whenever I take dogs into Home Depot, I try and make sure they use the bathroom first, and inevitably, yeah,
I know
everybody
where
knows.
this is headed.
Yeah, this is everybody knows where this is going. We have a golden doodle right now, or some kind of doodle. I don't know. His name's Toby. Super cool dog. Like super easy to train. Just dog's got ADD, and he gets like super overstimulated, like with anything. And when he gets overstimulated, he poops. So we took him to Home Depot and he pooped beforehand, but then he shit in the store. And I think I would have been less embarrassed if I just shit in the store.
Yeah, right.
I was like, man, I just kind of stood there and
You're
I
like,
was
really?
like, this is, I mean, come on. I'm just standing there like an asshole with the leash in my hand. I'm like I'm standing in the middle of a park and I'm like just standing there watching this dog take a shit. I'm like, yeah. And there's employees walking by, like, and of course they all recognize me,
Yeah, they're like, you need help?
yeah. And they're like, the assistant manager walked by a couple times, like, oh, we need to put you on payroll. I'm like, haha, shut the fuck. Yeah. Leave me alone. So, but anyway, what do you got going on?
Let's see, what do I got? Canine Jack left with his handler. His handler came
I saw that
for a few days. Jack's a beast, man. I love the dog. Jack was here way too long. Started doing his training, and because I sold him to that department pretty quickly, and I start doing his training. Then I forget what the delay was, and then I got sick. And I'm, screwed on COVID for like 5 weeks in the hospital and all that bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
That delayed it. Then I get back and we start going again. And him and a police dog that I was boarding, and they're in kennels next to each other. They have kennel dividers. I think the police dog bit him underneath the kennel, tore his foot up, stitches. So he's down and out for a couple of weeks with that. When he's a Malinois who flips in the kennel. So that was fun. That cone thing lasted, I don't know, 4 hours, I think, probably, if I was guessing.
Sounds about right.
It was in pieces, flung out of the kennel, so whatever. But finished him up. He went, got another dog, Ronnie, who's going to a pretty decent-sized agency here in Ohio. He'll finish up end of next week. He's been trying. Ronnie has really made me try some off-the-wall, out-of-the-box thinking stuff for training this dog. He came with 0 OB, and I've talked about him a little bit before. 0 OB, none, not even a sit, which is a thing coming out of Europe now. They're getting the dogs on the sleeve, doing some bite work with them, and that's it. And the dogs are raw as can be. The problem is he will not, under any circumstances, for anything you're doing, take any food of any kind.
That's not annoying.
No. So, and the problem is his prey drive for a toy is at the upper limits, almost the close to unmanageable, not quite unmanageable, but close to the unmanageable. I wouldn't want any more. I've had one other dog that was more, and I learned what I don't like. So the only thing that works with him is pressure, just like a fearful dog that we train, a pet dog or whatever that won't take food. So the only thing that works with him is pressure. So teaching him the sit and the down and everything is pressure related. And that's been a blast, as you can imagine. And it's just weird, man. I'm using, I taught him to sit using the door to the kennel, to sit to go outside. And it was a huge fight and whatever, but that's become pretty easy. He offers it now. But when we were teaching him odor imprinting on boxes, because of the prey drive, he's just biting the box, grabbing it, throwing it across the room. Anything I tried, if I would have tried Dutch boxes, the fight over the toy with him, even trying to use 2 toy, is not worth it. It's actually a pain in the ass. The funny thing is, out for bite work, he will out a suit and fly back to you for a tug, like no problem, but will not spit a toy for another toy. So his reward toy for dope is a PVC pipe. I'm not a huge fan of it. It just clanking around the teeth drives me insane. But and blood all over it, But so yesterday, So we were teaching him indirect reward. Find it, come back to we were using a tug, come back to the toy, because it worked. It imprinted him crazy fast. His hunt is insane. But then, you know, it's going to a department. They're always direct reward at source. They don't know. They've never done that, and they're not all that comfortable with it. So we started rewarding. Now we're back to, as soon as he changed behavior at odor, rewarding. And then yesterday we started doing a sit at odor, and it's starting to work. The problem is it creates a dog who sits and turns and looks up at me or who are the handlers, and that drives me nuts. I like more of a focus, but getting to where I'm at, I'm happy, because, oh my gosh, man. So, but anyways, what else I got going? I got our buddy Scott from Next Level Kennels brought up some dogs. I'm doing a dual purpose explosive dog form, a single purpose dope dog. And then I have another dog I think I just sold to a vet for like ride or die companion vehicle protection type dog. Yeah. Joda, that lab that I had, he certified today. Here's the funny thing. We didn't tell the handler. So the handler's in school, right? He's a couple weeks into school. He had done 2 weeks with a lab that I had, or a week with a lab that I had, who I shit canned, I didn't like. And I got Joda back, who I'd pre-trained, just hadn't been sold yet. So I get Joda's a rock star. I get him back. And the only reason why I didn't get him in the beginning is Joda is like a Malinois in a lab, meaning it's all mouth, plays with his mouth, will bite your hand. And he's going to work in a school. I said, look, bro, this dog's going to find every bit of dope in this school. Don't let kids pet him. He's not mean. It's just, in grabs, you know, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So we told the kid, hey, it's Wednesday. The training group is training today. Your guys are training in it. Why don't you go with them, hang out with the boys, meet some of the boys, and train with someone else other than me. I know you find this hard to believe, but I can stress people out, like in their ear the whole time. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, his buddy or the guy, one of the guys, they're doing his eval today, research. And I said, hey, if this kid comes there, he told him they were going to run him through a mock class. I said, if he comes there and knocks it out of the park, certify him. If he's got problems, send him back. And the evaluator sent me a text about halfway through the day. He goes, a blind fool could run this dog. He goes, they killed it. They murdered it. So they didn't tell the kid he was certifying until the end. They're like, hey, you're done. Be back to work tomorrow.
Come back to work, dummy.
You're good. So I was pretty happy about that. So, and the pet dog stuff is kind of what it is. You know, I'm only doing half days at the police kennel or the police work, and then half days at pet facility, because for a lot of different reasons. But one, the fun house is not air conditioned, and it's hot as shit in there by lunchtime. The center, we call it, where the pet stuff is air conditioned. It's quite cool. It's very nice in there. So I was in there today working a mini fox terrier and a shepherd, and then some other doodle of some sort, and taking out trash and doing all that other stuff. So who do we got today? What are we doing?
Well, the person we have on today is somebody that we've known for like a long time. I think the first time I met her was at the canine biathlon thing, like down in, I don't know where that was. It was one of the southern states. It was really muddy and had a lot of bugs. I don't remember where it was. It was either Alabama or Mississippi or somewhere. But on tonight is Sinead Imbaro. Sinead, how are you?
Hi, guys. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing well. You were on a list, like the short list, to do like a lot of like recent guests, and we just never something happened.
She may have been busy a little bit.
Oh yeah, or like not wherever you're at. So yeah, I see you on fucking Instagram or Facebook all the time, and you're like never in the same spot. So I kind of, on that note, like, give us a little bit of your background and how we got into the whole dog side of things.
Well, as you already know, my name is Sinead Imbaro. I'm a civilian police canine instructor. I'm also a military fitness specialist. I'm also on Florida Task Force 6 for their search and rescue part as a live search specialist for finding live victims for disaster searches, etc. How I got into dog training, I initially started way back when I guess I lived in Key West, Florida. That's over 20 years ago. I had a dog that I thought at the time, before I knew anything about dog training, I thought this dog was protecting me, and I thought it was really cool that certain behaviors that it was giving me was something that I thought was cool as far as a dog protecting me, quote unquote. I come to find out that the dog was being very possessive of me and territorial. So I seeked out a trainer who happened to be a police canine trainer in Key West. And I started to learn more from him about good behaviors and bad behaviors and what I should expect from a dog. And then from then on, just started to train under him and started to train under the police department with him, training dogs with him. So that's kind of how I got into dog training. It's basically way back in Key West, learning dog behaviors, what's good and what's not good for a dog to present to you. So
this first dog you had that was doing all that, what breed was that dog?
German Shepherd. I've only had German Shepherds. Believe it or not, Magnus is my first Malinois or other breed. I've always had Shepherds. So
where does that come from, you think?
I don't know. I guess it's just German Shepherds are just, they've always been a great breed. They've been smart. They're more of a family dog. I don't know. I just like them. And somehow Magnus just fit into that bill.
Yeah. Shepherd people are Shepherd people, like for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll stick with them all the way to the end. So, and it's good, you know, and they do like once they get through one or two, I shouldn't say it like that, but when they're working one or two, that they know what to expect.
Yeah.
Out of a Shepherd for the most part. That crazy dog I was talking about before, Ronnie, is a Shepherd, and he is definitely different than the other Shepherds I've had.
I just finished a puppy. We delivered her today, Sassy, the little black one. If you're watching Instagram, you see me posting pictures of her, and her owners got super lucky with her because she's like super environmentally stable, and she was fired up on chasing people at Home Depot and stuff the other day. And her owners have already texted me, and they're like, when can we bring her back for the rest of them? Like, yeah, well, because they had no idea. They're like, oh, we just wanted a black Shepherd for the kid, and she's already biting the kids and stuff. I'm like, oh, yeah, good luck. So
that's great.
We'll see.
So has your history with the dogs been getting them as puppies and raising them usually?
Yes, getting them as puppies and raising them. So yeah, I love training puppies because you start out with a clean slate, and everything that you put into their mind is something that you have, you've worked with them to get them how they are today. So even working dogs, when I'm done and we give that dog to a handler, and then later on they come back and tell you, hey, I found this, or this dog saved so many people, or what have you not. It's just a good feeling to be a part of that process. So I just like shaping little ones to become big things, big heroes in the end.
I think you like that too, don't you, Ted?
I like other people's puppies. I don't like mine. I don't like my puppies. No, I don't even like my own dog. Like, and right before we started recording, I was yelling. My Leck is sitting right here and he's looking at me. He's making noise, and everybody's like, what's your dog trained in? I'm like, he's trained in cuss words and thinly veiled threats of violence. Like, he's 11 years old and I still yell at him. But no, I don't mind other people's puppies. I just don't like mine. In fact, I've got a new one that's going to be here this weekend that is mine, and I'm super looking forward to that. I got a dog from he's been on the show, Tim Kiesling out in California. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little shithead Malinois, so that should be fun. Yeah.
So when you started that stuff with dogs, you started really getting, what were you doing for a living then?
I was a personal trainer, and I was helping people reach their goals. So whether it be weight as far as weight loss or weight gain, or I had a few people that were in either police departments. I had one that was getting ready to go into FBI, had to pass her FBI fitness tests. So just preparing people like that. I had, great part was the gym was right across from a strip club. So I had all the strippers come in the morning and train with me before they went to work at night. So it's just a different clientele. It's Key West. Mm-hmm. So it's a different clientele. And I just had all walks of life come in and want my help. So
we end up talking about strippers on this show all the time. Like the last 10 shows, we're talking about strippers and strip clubs the entire time. Fucking Eric used to work at a strip club.
Maybe
that's it. Really?
I DJ'd at 2 of them, one in Myrtle Beach and one in Cleveland.
You can't tell from his voice.
Made a pile of money, like a pile of money.
I bet.
And it was nuts, man.
I don't know.
Dude, real quick. When I moved back home and went to work at the one in Cleveland, one of the DJs was this short little fat dude with his long hair. And he still had the Coke pinky, the pinky nail, the real long one, do little bumps. I'm like, really, dude? I mean, this isn't 1986. What are we doing? Whatever, man. It was like, but it was only like 1991. It wasn't that far off of it, but yeah, it was a long time ago. So we're moving along here. We're getting into dogs. You're starting to get a little bit more interest in self-interest in dogs and things. Mm-hmm. What kind of made you think you might want to do it for a living?
I got into, because of the fitness side, I got into manufacturing a hip and joint supplement for dogs, mainly because one of my shepherds was having really, really bad arthritis issues in his lower back. So I developed a product to help him, and it was helping him a lot. Manufactured it, sold it to primarily pet people. And it got to the point where, even though my price point was very low for the consumer, they were just still trying to nickel and dime me. I'd go to expos or what have you not and sell my product, and they would nickel and dime me over the product, and then go right next door and buy, I don't know, a leash or collar for $200 and just throw the money down without, just throw it down like it was nothing. But to spend $35 on my supplement, they couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. So it got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to lose my mind if I deal with these people again. So let me see how I can help the working dog people, the working dogs primarily. Obviously for patrol, it's a lot easy because of the impact the dog will endure through bite work. But I didn't know about detection on how it could help the dog through detection. So I wanted to learn, again, movement, what a dog does for detection. And through that, I just fell in love with watching a dog hunt for odor and how it discovers odor. And it's always each dog is different behavior, different alerts, how you handle the dog. It's just so much to go into it. So it's always an ongoing learning process. It's just not, picking one dog and learning from that dog and using that type of training to train every dog. It's not like that, at least from what I see. So I got interested in that. And then my shepherd, I had a long-haired shepherd, he passed away. And that took me down because he was very close to me. That took me down a couple notches. I had a friend that reached out to me who just had a litter of Malinois puppies. And she said, hey, why don't you come over and take a look? I want to give you one of my puppies, whichever one you want. And I said, well, I'm not really a Malinois type of person. So I think I'm just going to hold off for a while before I get another dog. And she says, well, if you were to get a dog, what kind of dog would you want? Like what personality or, what would you look for in a puppy? And so I just kind of told her that I wanted the dog with the biggest head. That's it. Because I wasn't really, I didn't really care at that point. I just wanted to be left alone. So she picked the dog that had the biggest head in the litter, which was Magnus. And she just kept sending me photos every single day of this dog. And so I went to Hitz in Arizona. She lives in Illinois. I drove to Hitz, went to that conference. And then on my way back, I stopped and saw her and all the puppies. And I still had 2 shepherds at that time. So she took out the litter of puppies, and he followed me straight from the get-go. I'd go up the stairs. He tried his hardest. He was so small. Tried his hardest to go up the stairs and follow me. He followed me anywhere and everywhere I went. So I told her, all right, let me take him. I'll train him. We'll sell him. We'll split the money. And she said, okay. Because she knew I wasn't going to sell.
She's like, okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he came home with me at 7 weeks and stayed with me. 7 years later, he's still with me. So, and with him, I decided that I wanted to learn how to do detection with him. So I started to go to different facilities. I had a lot of mentors help me throughout the years. I had a trainer here that I was training with one of my other dogs. I took him to him, and he looked at him. He's a very old school, very hard Schitzen guy. And he looked at him and he says, this dog will never be a working dog. He's just a pet. He's got no drive. And I said, okay, thank you. And I left. And that was the last time I actually trained with him, because I just saw a different way to, there's 1,001 ways to get a dog to do something. And his way just wasn't the way for him. So that kind of lit a fire under my ass. And ever since then, we've been accomplishing great things. So
it's funny you mentioned that about picking the dog with the biggest head, because that's how I used to pick all my girlfriends way long time ago. Different body part than the head, but
man.
it worked out a couple times. I mean, here and there. So
on a list of comments that I didn't think was coming down the was that
listen,
one.
you brought up strippers. It's not me.
So. I didn't. She did.
Oh, that's true. So one of the things that those and we're going to get into during this, we're going to talk about Magnus. We're going to talk about some other stuff that you're doing, and then we're going to talk about functional fitness for dogs and canine handlers, and then we're going to talk about some search and rescue stuff. But so where did you, because I know you do a lot of work with trailing dogs and a lot of other things. What led you that direction?
Okay. I got a call from this guy on Facebook. His name is Greg Sluter. I've never met him before. We're Facebook friends, and he called me up or Facebooked me or messaged me and said, hey, would love you to come out and do some trailing with us. We're going to be doing this in the woods and blah, blah, blah. And I've never heard of this place before. I didn't really know about trailing. So I said, sure, no problem. I'm up for it. And I'm up for any type of training, you know? So got in my car and drove all the way to South Carolina. Got lost in the woods trying to get there. Took a dirt road. This is like six years. Yeah, almost 7 years ago now. And find this place, get situated. They tell me to go to this location in the woods. I meet everyone in the woods, meet him for the first time. I meet the team that I'm paired up with. I had a handler from, I believe, Boston, and then one from California. And there was one other, and I can't remember where he was from. So paired up with those guys, and off we went to hunt for our quote unquote suspect. And they gave me a rifle, or it was a paintball gun, I guess, paintball rifle back then. And here we are heading out into the woods, into the swamp. I didn't have the right clothing on, nothing, because I honestly had no idea what I was in for. But I was game. I wasn't going to complain or anything. And so we head out and we're into the woods, and it's probably 2 hours now that we're hunting for this guy. And we get into the swamp, and I'm just about chest water deep. And all of a sudden, this guy just comes flying. It looked like a scene out of Rambo. He just comes out of the water, okay? his face is all painted, camo style, and he starts shooting at us. And I'm just standing there. And my brain is like, I see someone shooting at us, but I can't. I'm just trying to like process everything in my head because it's just not making sense what's going on. And he shot everyone around me. And then he comes over to me and introduces himself. And his name was Jeff Shetler from Georgia Canine.
I was gonna say, I was like, at some point, Jeff's gonna pop out of somewhere. I realize
And I mean, it
I didn't
was.
know he'd pop up like fucking Swamp Thing. But
it was unbelievable. I'll never ever forget that experience. So we went back to the base camp, and it was time for me to go lay the trail, and we did it again. But that's how I basically got into trailing, was learning from the master himself, Jeff Shetler. I would go to his facility as much as I could, lay trails, learn about how to start dogs off young, and then slowly transferred over to the Marines. So when the Marines would come, we would lay trails, set up ambushes, etc. And that's how I got my starting in trailing. And both of my dogs trail. But primarily when I go there, it's just, like I said, I love taking puppies and teaching them the process. So that's what I love to do when I get there.
Did Greg ever tell you why they picked you?
He just followed me on Facebook and thought that I would love it. That's really it. And we've been friends ever since, kind of drift, but we always keep in touch every once in a while. He's in South Carolina. He's not with Georgia Canine, but he's a mountain man. He's way up in the mountains. But yeah,
as you were telling that story, like the opening of it sounded like the beginning of like one of the crime shows on TV.
I know. And
like,
sure, I'll come. I don't know you.
I'm gonna go out in the woods and get lost and come find, and I'm gonna let you come find me. How about that?
And when I got there, I'm thinking,
fucking creepy about that.
I don't know anyone. No one knows where I'm at. Okay, well, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Everyone, as a kid, your parents tell you not to get in the car with strangers. And now we have a fucking app called Uber, right? Now everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and now I'm like, really? And so you're telling the story. I was like, this is how true crime stars start. Like,
yeah.
I know she didn't get killed because she's sitting here talking to us, but like, like what the fuck?
That's funny.
It's amazing. It's an amazing experience to be just thrown in that and just go with it.
Yeah, he saw you. He's like, she's in shape. She looks like she could run through the swamp for 4 miles and be just perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So it's probably a pretty good thing too. Like they followed you on Facebook, and it was probably pretty straightforward. I mean, I much enjoy teaching new handlers that don't know anything about tracking or don't know anything about detection work because they don't have any bad habits. So I don't have to like it. The worst is when they have a dog and they've run a dog forever, and then they come to me and like they get a dog from me, and I have to hear about their other dog, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care. But like I'm sure he's great. He's on your couch or he's dead. Like he's on your couch with your wife, like eating beef jerky. So like leave him there. But and then they're like, I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, who taught you to do that? They're like, all right, just kind of, it's how we've always done it. I'm like, who's we? Like, what are you doing? Stop doing that. And like when I have new people though, like they're just like, I mean, I have guys come in, they've never even owned a dog before. I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. That's who I want. Because then it's great. I'm like, then they don't know any different.
Yeah.
So before we get into Magnus real quick, and you probably get this a lot, and Ted and I do too. And I'll be honest with you, I don't blow it off, but I just don't have a lot of time to get into a lot of things. So somebody knows you or doesn't, or reaches out and they got a puppy and they believe that the puppy, has good potential and they're really interested in the trailing aspect. And you're talking about developing puppies. What's a couple little things that you would tell them, listen, do this with that 4-month-old puppy?
With a 4-month-old puppy?
Yeah, start, because that's what, they get the dog from the breeder, come home, and they're like, all right, let's see if he'll hunt his food. Like right away, they want to try things. So you're getting a young dog, what to do to kind of, I don't know, help them go in the correct direction as they're going.
I would, and I tell this just to, I'm starting actually a handler for search and rescue for live fine. He just got a Malinois puppy. The main thing is you need other people to interact with the dog rather than it just being you. I mean, you want to create a bond with the dog, but you don't want to create this bond where the dog just doesn't want to leave your side. You want to create a dog that's going to become independent, that wants to work away from you, so it can get its job done and not have to worry about, you know, where the owner is or the handler is. So interacting with other people, letting other people play as far as with the reward toy and little runaways, etc., like that for trailing. I mean, for trailing, we don't do your sport tracking or putting food on the ground or things of that nature, but we do use a toy or we'll use food. So whatever the highest motivation, either toy, food, we'll ask them to use that for quick runaway trails. Obviously, crating your dog, taking your dog out and working it, putting it back in a crate is recommended rather than having your dog just lounge around on the couch or let it do whatever it wants to do. And then for trailing, we recommend not doing too much obedience with the dog, again, because we want to create that independence. Anything else you guys want? Or?
No,
Well,
that's it, because I get asked a lot, and I'll be honest with you, I don't mess with puppies that much.
Mm-hmm.
My answer is usually don't screw them up. Then I turn around and we got dogs to work. I don't know, Ted. What do you get? I'm sure you get asked about it a lot.
I do, and so I haven't. Well, I mean, I know how to raise the puppies. I mean, we've done it successfully quite a bit, and our most successful dogs in the field right now are the ones that I raised or had a part in raising, or whatever else. But it's always interesting because I try and we talk about this at HRDs a lot. The one reason that all dogs will get washed from any detection program, whether it be narcotics, explosives, search and rescue, whatever it is, outside of health, is environmentals, and their inability. There's not a dog working that gets washed because of their inability to find target odor. They just don't. Mm-hmm. They get washed for environmentals. So I tend to focus on, no matter what breed they are and no matter what, and for pets too, like my puppy program involved the little Malinois puppy. Like if you follow me on Instagram, you saw her, Rio. She's a little spaz. She's a COVID puppy, so the owners got her and she came to the kennel. She's scared of everything, and I've had her for a week, and I have her ripping around Home Depot, and like, you know, I mean, she's not scared of anything now. But I tend to focus heavily on environmentals and playing on, eating around. And that's the story. I don't know. I think I told this last time. I don't know, but you know, and I, like Sinead just said, playing with other people. And so if I take puppies in, everybody wants to play with puppies. I'm like, yeah, come play with them. So I saw a group. It was at Home Depot. I saw a group of, I don't know, 4 or 6 kids that were between 8 and something. I don't know. They were not very old. And so, you know, the tattooed shitbag guy with the dogs is like, hey, you want to come play with a puppy? And they're like, yeah, great. And their parents kind of looked at me weird. And in hindsight, I was like, okay. It's the weird guy.
Weird.
You know, it's literally
someone's going to call the cops on me.
It's literally exactly what they tell you not to do in school. And that's what I was like, man, wherever these kids go to school, they're doing a terrible job. Like, don't talk to strangers with puppies. So anyway, I try and get people to play with puppies. The same thing. And once they get to a point, as with the patrol dogs, they have to be social. Like they just do. Like it's just that they absolutely do. I'm dealing with one right now that is not, and it's a fucking pain in the ass. And then for search and rescue dogs, they obviously also have to be social for different reasons. But then, you know, with the detection dogs and stuff, like I can't have him soliciting people for attention, and then I can't have them being afraid of people. So I just kind of was like, you know, once they get to like, you know, 6-8 months oldish, I'm like, okay, now you can stop talking to people and just, you know, now come play with me. But, you know, it's a super and I do that with pet dogs too. Like every problem that I'm fixing right now with pet dogs revolves around lack of socialization, or what I call desensitization or whatever. The dogs are scared of shit that they've never seen. They're scared of people, noises, whatever it is. So I usually focus heavily on that. And then if I'm raising a puppy to green status, like Jeremy, we just will have to litter those of the pointers.
Mm-hmm.
will raise those dogs geared towards detection, and they will, and they're gonna. I think we're gonna sell them. But I raised a litter of puppies about 5 years ago, an entire litter of them, and I think we had 10 or 11, and 6 of them ended up being good working prospects. And I sold 6 of them to single purpose guys. And those single purpose dogs, those handlers came back to me and they're like, God damn, these dogs are like the easiest things in the world to train, because they already know how to mark. Like, I don't give them any verbal cues. Like, they're all shaped, like Sinead was talking about. I shape everything with clickers and markers. I don't give them any verbal commands, and the dog just understands how to interact with the person. Like, he just understands how to interact with people and how to interact with the trainer. So literally they have them on one odor at the end of the, like, by the end of the first week, and they're like, this dog's 9 months old and he's already on, coke. I'm like, yep, pretty much. Like, go find the tennis ball, go find the odor, like, sit down and look at me if you want something, and then we'll figure it out. And so, yeah, I mean, imprinting them very early. And like you said, Eric, like, it's a thing now. The dogs coming from Europe act like I've never seen a fucking leash on in their life. So
they may not have either.
They're doing very, very little work over there. And I understand it's a margin for numbers game. I get it, but I mean, it's still annoying. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the part I like about puppies. Same thing Sinead likes. And then I like giving them back to their owners, so I don't have to mess with them and hear them bark at night, fuckers. So that's
so before we started recording, we saw your dog. Is he sitting over there?
He is.
Can he make a camera appearance?
I think he can. Megs. Hey, bud. Here. Come on, bud. Come around. Here, buddy.
This forces everyone to go to YouTube. Honestly.
Yeah, there you go.
At us. Hey, bud. There we go. Were you
There
sleeping?
it is.
Yeah, you were sleeping? Huh? Were you sleeping?
He's like, this is bullshit.
He's like, I was sleeping.
He's like,
he does have a big head, though.
Doesn't he?
Yeah. So I've talked about this on a couple different podcasts that I recently, a few months ago, went up to Indiana to help work at a seminar up there at MUTC. Those of you who listen to Jean-Claude LeBlanc on there, that he's got that big seminar coming up there, and I've been up there a couple of times. And when I was asked, hey, would you like to come up and do the LE side of this, there was supposed to be me and another guy, and he ended up not being able to do it. But I said, yeah, sure, I'll get up there. And when I get there, it's not just LE for me, because they had some late entries from the search and rescue side, and just things like that. So they're like, hey, we've got several search and rescue people with you, not just LE. Turns out I had about 50-50. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm just going to set up scenarios. I mean, for the human remains dogs, they already had the odor. I just had to find different creative places to put it, maybe. And I can, come up with weird scenarios for just about any type. But when I get with my group the first day, Sinead's there, and she didn't know me. I had met her at, I think it was Bravo 3. We figured out at a morning exercise thing. We'll talk about in the second segment. But I had messaged, I think it was Ted or Alicia or both. And I said, hey, Sinead's up here with her dog. And they're like, oh, that dog's awesome, man. You're going to have a good time. I was like, yeah, cool. So I actually borrowed Sinead on a couple things and said, listen, I got too much shit. I need a little bit of help. Tell me how, what works best for certain things, how we want to set this up. I'll do it. Just kind of push me in the right direction. Can you help this person? Because we started seeing, some people were struggling with a couple things, a trailing dog that needs some help and stuff like that. And I didn't see, we did a lot of stuff. Everything I threw at her dog and all the dogs there, I didn't see your dog struggle with a single thing, not one single thing. And we did a little bit of all genres there with that dog. And I was like, I was super impressed, like really impressed with that dog, especially he's, what'd you say, 7.5 now?
7 years. Yeah. He's 7 now.
He's brings it still. They got to do the high line, stuff like that, which was pretty cool to watch. He's looked, pretty chill on that even. I'm like, of course, this dog is here and belongs to somebody and I can't buy him. I was like, your dog sucks. Put him in my van. So, what was that your first time at Muscatatuck?
Yes. And I plan on going back again next year. It's an amazing facility. So many venues for us to use. Absolutely amazing place to do a lot of great training. So looking forward to going back again.
So tell everybody what all he does. What's everything that he's involved in?
Wow. So he does trailing. He does disaster search, looking for, he's a live find dog, looking for live people. He'll do tactical trailing as well, which is just basically having flankers on his side that can go out in different formations. And he's not bothered by them by his side, rather than just everyone being behind him. He does narcotics, and he's also a bitey bite dog. He does some bite work too.
He bites hard as shit. So don't even say,
He's got a big head.
Yes.
He's got a big head.
Big dogs bite hard. Big dogs bite hard. There you go.
Yeah.
So when she's talking about live find, guys, so in that MUTC, they have a village that they'll flood. It's like I say a village, like a neighborhood kind of, that they flood up to just under the roof line. And a couple of the buildings have access so you can get inside and hide in the rafters. And we did where they were bringing them in on the boat, right? So they had these guys bringing in on the boat. I was a guy hiding inside the roof of a house, stranded there or whatever. And you can hear as they're coming, you can hear him breathing, panting. And they're still on the boat, and he gets quiet. And she's like, yeah, right there. And they go in, and I believe I had a video of it. I don't anymore. It was like a really poor video, but I had a video of it, and you can see him from the boat in the water, downwind of the house, and I'm inside the roof with the hatch closed in the rafters, and he gives an alert. Like, it definitely changed behavior. She's like, yeah, go there, and put the boat, climb on, alert at the trap door. I think I gave him a wedge maybe or something like that. But yeah, that was pretty cool to
and that was his first. That was his first time doing that type of scenario in the water, looking for someone on a roof. So I wasn't sure. I mean, he's a great dog and everything, but this is something new for both of us, and I wasn't sure if he was going to think that we were just going to go for a boat ride, or if he was going to get on the roof and there was other dogs working around us, if he was just going to look at those dogs and say, hey, let me go join them. Or I didn't know what to expect, but he definitely picked up your odor as you were coming around that house. And then he got up on that roof. He was determined to get up on the roof by himself. He didn't want my help. So when he got up there, he just started to sniff you out and found you. And
yeah,
it was nice.
It was impressive. Everything he did, I really thought it was really impressive to see. And he's not surprisingly very physically fit, which is important. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. What's his best thing he does?
It's a toss-up. I mean, he's great with odor. So, it's either he's great with narcotics or he's great with finding people. And I think it's a 50-50. He's just a very methodical dog. So whatever I put in front of him, he's going to bang it out. I can't really tell you what he's really great at, because he seems to be great at everything.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. Yeah, he impressed me. Like
the marketplace scenario where you had the dog in a crate. We've never done that before, where he had to pass that dog and go up the flight of stairs to find someone. And it was a female dog as well, right? I think it was a female Malinois in there. And he just looked at the crate and just bypassed it and went up. And yeah, he amazes me every time. So it's great. It's great to see him work. And it's great to be in new scenarios for me as well, because I learn something new every time I go to those training events. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a dick move on my part. I put a dog in a crate, like it was a stairwell that went up and then up, and I put him on the first landing. And yeah, a couple of dogs did really good. A couple of dogs had a little bit issue with it. If I could have, I'd have put a cat in that bitch, and that would have really been a dick move. But it's very realistic.
Yeah.
Rabbit,
Yeah.
cat.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think Ted, you'd like that move, right? Little bait dog in the crate there.
We do that for our SWAT thing with like it's one of the warrant service things. So they're doing a fucking snatch and grab, and they're using the dog, and there's an angry pit bull on it. There's an angry dog, aggressive pit bull in a kennel, which probably would never happen. But so yeah,
it'll happen in the house though.
And you don't tell the handler either, and you freak out. Yeah, so no, I've never done that. Yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. We got some really good sponsors in there, guys. Don't pass through them. If you do, and I know you will, I say this all the time, the bottom of the show notes have all the discount codes, all our amazing sponsors. We will be right back. We have a long-standing relationship with the guys over at Hitz Canine Training Conference. It's truly America's premier canine seminar. It is the largest. It is the best. They cover every important topic in the canine industry. Hundreds and hundreds of vendors, thousands of canine people there. Everybody you know in this industry is there. Ted and I will be teaching. Hitz 2022 is being held in Orlando, Florida, August 16th to the 19th. Also, check out their website, hitzcanine.net. They have other classes that they're putting out online, Zoom classes and all kinds of other things. They're offering in-person classes leading up to Hitz 2022, Orlando, Florida, August 16th to the 19th. Check it out, hitzcanine.net.
Everyone knows that I live on chicken nuggets and Coors Light. So that doesn't mean your dog should, though. Our friends at Kinetic make it a point to fuel working dogs, and they know that it can be tough, and they need high quality food, unlike me, to give them energy and the nutrients that they require. I just subsist on air and Coors Light, but the dogs can't. They actually have to work. So for that, we asked Kinetic. And Kinetic has come up with a great balance of healthy meats and grains and is made specifically for working and sport dogs. They have a full line of foods and supplements available, and they've been working to perfect their line for thousands of dogs in hundreds of departments across the U.S. You can buy it locally online or at Tractor Supply, or you can get it at Chewy. So head over to their website, kineticdogfood.com, 513-615-6904. And get them on the socials at Kinetic Dog Food.
So probably the number one product I've ever advertised for or used that does what they say is Quick Derm by Vet Care. I have it at my house. I have it at the kennel. I have it at the fun house. I have it at the doggy daycare. I have my trainers have it at their house. It is unbelievable how it works. You guys have all heard Ted and I talk about it, how we've gotten tagged by dogs, or dogs do, if you're dealing with working dogs, weird stuff happens, right? Cuts how the hell that happened? Bites, scratches, all kinds of things that happen, especially if you're doing anything in the wooded area, they get tore up. The Quick Derm by Vet Care, it is no exaggeration. It is great. So once daily treatment for any skin condition or small wounds to help stop little issues from becoming big ones. Comes in sprays, ointments, or dressing. Quick Derm is great at creating a protective barrier and promoting wound healing. The best thing, too, is they have a discount code. Get on their website, vetcare.us. That's vetcare.us. Put in the discount code 10WDR in capital letters, 10WDR for 10% off your first order.
These next guys have actually been on the show, and we instructed at the first Tripwire conference down in Florida. Jim O'Brien was a guest on the show, and he runs NC Canine, who has now come onto the show as a sponsor. Jim's been around for quite a long time, about 13-ish years, with experience handling and training law enforcement canines. He uses real-world deployments to develop training program and not rely only on their experience, but current experiences from most of their national canine teams and handlers to provide the best canine partner that you guys can purchase. They provide pet training and police canine services based out of Four Oaks, North Carolina, and they serve the surrounding areas. Feel free to give Jim a call, a text, carrier pigeon, however you want to get a hold of him to talk to him about police canine training or pets and techniques and methodologies. So hit him up at 919-438-0141 or jobrien That's JOBRIEN at NC letter K number 9.us. Check the show notes. We'll put it there.
All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. The three of us just stared at each other for a few seconds like weirdos while we shoved those commercials in there. It's one of my favorite things. But we're with our friend Sinead Imbaro. So the first time I met you, I think Ted and Alicia, they knew you for a bit, was at Bravo 3, and you were doing a early morning workout session for whoever wanted to come.
Yes.
And I came, I was like, yeah, I'll come down. And we had a good time, and it was a good workout. I was hungover, maybe even still a little drunk, but I can work through that. I've done worse. But yeah, it was good. Very functional stuff. And then I started talking to some folks, and I think you and I talked at the MUTC thing that is one of the things that you really do still. We talked about in the beginning of this episode, back in the day down in Key West doing personal training. But I think you've expanded, I might be wrong, functional fitness for like the working dog type person and possibly the dogs. Is that part of the stuff you do still?
Yeah. So obviously we condition our dogs. We want them to be a fine-tuned machine. But us as handlers kind of get a little bit lazy. And then when we get out in the field, we just can't keep up with them, or we're just not as focused as we should be with them because we're panting and we're trying to keep up with them. Right. So especially for trailing, if you're going out on the track, you want to make sure that you're able to keep up with your dog and be keen on all your senses and your environment around you. So when I'm at Georgia Canine, I will do a fitness class there with the handlers once we're done trailing, and we could be out from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m, easily 12 miles of trailing, and we'll still come back to the facility and put in a workout for a good hour with the handlers. And then I'll let them rest with the dogs, because obviously the dogs had a good workout. When I'm not there and I have handlers come to me or call me or message me asking what they can do, I will put them through just a little quick introduction of what they can do with their dog as a team to become more conditioned. And obviously the weather down here in Florida is a lot hotter than up north, so it kind of limits us to what we can do. But water is a good friend for us down here. So swimming, if they have a treadmill inside, use that for the dog, use it for themselves. Just little exercises that you can incorporate obedience in. So put the dog in a down, run 50 yards away, do a couple sit-ups, while the dog's in a down, make sure the dog stays in the down, come back, grab your dog, go for a jog, go for a walk, put your dog in a sit, go back, do another couple push-ups, come back, grab your dog, just so you work some obedience, you fine-tune their obedience, but you're still getting some exercise in with them on that type of aspect, and then obviously conditioning your body. There's different exercises you can do with the peanut, those exercise balls, with the dog, with yourself. I mean, if you have a creative mind, you don't need much equipment to get physically fit, or the dog to get physically fit. So it's just really putting your mind to it and staying committed.
Do you find, having worked with both, do dogs' muscles develop if you're trying to build strength in a dog differently than human muscles?
Yes. Every body, every quote unquote body is different. So it really depends on how you fuel your body in order to get the results that you want. Same with the dog, but I think we work our dogs harder than we work ourselves. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be able to become more conditioned than us and more physically fit. So if we can just work ourselves half of how we work our dogs, we can get there as well. But with us and with dogs, it's really what we put inside of our body. So we can have a great workout and eat crappy and get no results, or we can have a great workout and eat healthy. And I'm not saying, you know, bodybuilder diet or anything like that. Just eat healthy, eat clean, and reap the benefits. So, like I said, it just really boils down to how much you really want to put into it for yourself, because we'll put into it for our dogs time and time over and over again. It's just we become lazy for ourselves and, you know, want to have a snack here or don't want to eat or forget about eating or we're too busy to eat, and then our body suffers.
So Ted loves to eat a lot of tacos, yet he's still oddly not fat, which is so weird.
But I go to the gym a lot and I'm fucking active. And I joke that I eat like a college freshman at least one day a week. But
nothing wrong with that.
But for the most part, like this is what I try and do. I try and not eat out of boxes or bags, unless it's a rice bag. I'll eat a rice out of a bag. But other than that, like I try and not shop in the center of the grocery store. So and I try and only buy stuff 2 to 3 days at a time, which helps you not like stock up a bunch of shit that's like doesn't go bad, because stuff that makes stuff not go bad makes you not go well. It makes you go bad. So like I try and not. That said, I drink a lot of beer, but I mean, I figure I've never used tobacco. I don't use drugs. And if I got to die of something, at least I'm going to pick. So I drink caffeine and Red Bull and fucking beer and water. Like that's it. So, I mean, but
that's good. So have you found a, I don't know how I want to say it, like an exercise for the dogs that you kind of thought of maybe in a weird situation, like this really works for dogs and it's kind of a strange thing?
No, I'm not one to reinvent the wheel. I mean, simple exercises, you know, you don't have to go all out and do crazy things. It's just simple exercises. Take your dog out. You don't even have to make the dog sprint. Just take it out, condition it with the heart, go for a nice long run with it, or put it on a treadmill, 20 minutes, nice pace. Take it swimming. Swimming is one of the best exercises for a dog because it's virtually no impact. It's very low impact. And it works just about every muscle in their body. It strengthens their core muscles. I'm saying this and I'm not a swimmer, but for a dog, it's just great. You know, it's just great cardiovascular and it's great for their muscles. And it's just a great exercise to do if you have water close to you to do it, you know. But a treadmill is great too. And you know, you have the two types. You have the slap mill, or you have the treadmill, the pacer one. So I mean, they both offer different what's the word I'm looking for?
Benefits,
advantages,
maybe.
Benefits, right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel to create exercises when there's great exercises out there for them already.
I'm trying to remember how long ago this was. 5 years ago or so, I was decoying a PSA trial in Houston, and it was in April. So
already hot.
Yeah, Houston is like a fucking swamp, and especially right now. But it was already just disgusting. And there was and it was one of the first trials of the season because it was in April. And there was a bunch of dogs that came down from like the St. Louis area, Kansas City area, and some other areas of the country that were still like, you know, they were seeing lows in the high 30s. So, I mean, you know, at this time it was like 85 degrees already. And I distinctly remember the twos that time. We had quite a few dogs, and the rotation that we had set up, I was decoying and I was the first bite and I was the last bite. Now in PSA, your entry is judged and the grip is judged, and every single dog. And I know all these competitors. I've worked most of these dogs, if not all of them, before. Same thing happened to the threes. The first bite they were rock stars. I mean, they were rushing me. 15, 20 minutes later, they were coming to that last bite, and the dogs were sloppy. The entries were slower. The grips were suffering. Like, the dogs were fucking melting. And I think it was Megan Hamby's dog. She was in the threes with Felon. And we thought Felon was going to fucking stroke out on us, like after, because she was, I think she was all she had to do was bite me or Jake Kemp, or I don't remember what the deal was, but she literally just kind of stopped. And we threw her in a pool, like a kiddie pool and stuff real quick. But I mean, Megan's from St. Louis, if I remember correctly. So it was still really cool up there. But it was a scary deal. And it was obvious that none of the dogs had been conditioned to heat because where they live. I mean, what are they going to do? Put them in a fucking sauna? But so it really wasn't, I can't knock them for it. But, even for people that are sport people, like that shit, and especially like the ring sports, like French ring and Mondio ring, where those like 2 and 3s, like shit, those are half-hour routines, man. And that's why they don't like their dogs barking all the time. They don't shut up and they continue to, well, that you can't talk to them, but like they got to keep, they just waste a ton of energy and they gas like super, super quick. But it was interesting because, the judge at the time was like, the last bites were like not that great. I'm like, no, they weren't. And the dogs were just smoked. They outed fine because they were like, okay, I'm ready to go back to get air conditioning. But so Sinead, you mentioned like food for you. So do you have the same type of, and I've been trying to get on somebody to do a show just about this, and it's been a nightmare. But what do you suggest like feeding for the dog? So what does Magnus eat?
Well, Magnus is on Royal Canin.
Okay.
But I do have friends that have the dogs on raw, which is a great diet. I can't do raw because I travel too much, and it's just I don't have a vehicle that can lug all that food around.
That's a pain in the ass.
But raw is, if you know how to do it right, raw is a great diet to go on. Like I said, he's on Royal Canin, and Royal Canin has different sport breeds, or not sport, or sport mixes, I think it's called, that are specifically for working dogs. So they have that option as well. But it really, you want to look at the ingredients, obviously, for the dog. Ingredients on the back of the bag, make sure that they're good ingredients, or not just fillers. And then, if you can add some supplements in for it as well, always put a joint supplement as a preventative. Don't wait till your dog needs a supplement, as we would for ourselves. We want to make everything preventative for the dog. So always put in a joint supplement of some sort, even if it's just glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, or even just turmeric, which is great for inflammation for working dogs. Just something that's going to help them as preventative, and just go that route. As far as what to recommend for food, it's just going to depend on, the handler's expense. That's what it boils down to. It really does. So highest recommendation would be raw. And then from there, just look at the back of your dog food and read the ingredients. Research it.
There's somebody listening to this in their patrol car, and it's 3:00 in the morning, and they just gave their dog a Twinkie.
Smile face cookie.
I don't know about that.
I'm talking to Garber.
Right. Yeah. Mike.
See you, Mike.
So
leave the slider closed.
One last question before we take a break, and then we're going to get into a recent search and rescue that you got involved in. Is there anything specifically you do for the search and rescue dogs, or you talk to the handlers about building endurance for the dogs that are like, got to work on that rock pile and got to be on that rock pile for a long periods of time, or in the woodland searches and things like that? Is there kind of an endurance exercise that you prefer over other things?
Well, for search and rescue, we'll work different times of the day to get the dog acclimated to the weather. For trailing, it's a little bit different than for disaster search, and we can get in on that on the next segment. But as far as, it's really different times of day that you're going to trail. You're obviously not going to trail at high heat. You're going to do it either early in the morning or later in the afternoon. Try to keep them in the shade. Watch their breathing, watch their body language, know when to stop. And nothing is ever worth putting your dog through that amount of stress and getting your dog overheated and killing them. It's not worth it. So the main thing is read your dog's body language, know when to stop, know when to give them water, know when to give them a break. They'll start up again and continue searching. So it doesn't really matter that you keep them going and going and going and going, and to the point where you're just killing them. So make sure that you give them a break, let them regain some energy and cool down, and then start back up again. And I say that because down here it's been super, super hot, super, super humid. My dog's used to being out in this heat, and I still had to give them breaks. And we'll talk about that more in our next segment.
Perfect timing. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into the Surfside condo collapse that Sinead ended up being involved in. And it's a pretty sad situation, but that's what you've been training for, that type of situation, hoping that you would never have to do it, but here we are. So we'll be right back. All right, guys, this episode has been brought to you by great sponsors of ours. Please don't skip through this. Take a listen to them. One of our oldest sponsors and great friends of ours are the people down at Highland Canine down in North Carolina. I really like them. We see them at all the conferences. I know a lot of people have been to their school for dog trainers. They've been on the podcast. Highland Canine, they're a full service canine and pet dog training business where they can train you to be a trainer. They can get you a dog. They have handler classes. They have supervisor classes. They have trainers courses for just LE. They have them for anybody who wants to be in the dog business, be a dog trainer of any kind. Check them out. Their website is tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com, tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com. If you are smart, you'll go down there in the winter. It is North Carolina. It is warm. You get to work dogs. It's no joke school, guys. You're not going down there for a month and rushing through it. They're actually trying to make you real deal dog trainers. Tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com.
Next is a sponsor that's been with us for quite a while, Dogtra. I love Dogtra stuff, and they continually keep bringing out new products. One of the things that I've been using a lot lately is the new Tone Box. If you're a pet trainer or if you train a lot of police officers, and I harp at my guys all the time about timing, and this thing literally compares to the remote. And when you're using the remote, whether you're using Nick, constant, or vibrate, it makes a noise. So you can get the timing down 100% consistent. And so I can demonstrate how to do an out with an e-collar immediately, quickly, and it is so effective that I can't believe that it took me forever to figure it out to get that. They've also got these new comfort feather, like titanium things that go on the collars that are fantastic for making sure we got contact. It actually has 6 points, and this comes in 2 sizes, and it's a titanium feather thing. They're awesome. They got comfort contact points for the bark collars, the YS600, one of my favorite things. I have about 50 of them at the kennel, and it is dead silent. And I put them on all the pet dogs, and I can leave them on because they have the comfort contact points, and they're fantastic. All this stuff you can get at dogtra.com. And if you use the discount code WDR10, you get 10% off a single item over $200. So that covers the ball trainer. That covers the 1900 Ask Hands Free, which is my personal favorite for all the big dogs. It covers the 2-dog system, the 202C, which I use for the 2-dog pet guys, and fantastic. So dogtra.com, or go to @DogtraOfficial on all the socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, all those places. So hit them up, dogtra.com.
Guys, I don't even shop any other sites when I'm looking for everything for dogs. Our one-stop shop for anything pet dog training and police dog training, hunt dog training, anything you need, you can find at rayallen.com. They have been doing it forever. We have a great relationship with them. Again, They're at all the conferences. You can stop up and talk to them. They have more stuff there than any place. RayAllen.com. They are amazing. We have a great, really, really good relationship with those guys. Like I said, I get on their website. I do not look anywhere else. I just get on Ray Allen. Why should I? Fill up my cart, pay it, boom, shipping. Here we go. Everything's coming. RayAllen.com. And guess what? We do have a discount code for them. Working Dog Radio for 10% off. It's all one, Working Dog Radio, and it's all caps. Check them out, RayAllen.com.
I'm not too ashamed to admit that I used our own discount code to buy stuff for the kennel. We have American Aluminum next. They're a new sponsor for moving forward. They have been around for quite a while. They manufacture a wide variety of products, from the high-quality cam lockers and toolboxes to a huge line of products designed to meet the ever-changing needs of law enforcement community. Back in 1992, due to the demand for safe, secure transport for a nearby law enforcement department's canine, they introduced the very first Easy Rider canine. They have continuously grown and expanded products, catering to the needs and wants of the valued customers and high-profile clientele. Over the years, as the needs have changed, they have evolved and expanded their products to include inmate transport systems, canine training aids, canine inserts, contraband, containment, and animal control systems, just to name a couple of things. So you can find them at easyrideronline.com. That is Easy Echo Zulu Rider Online.com. You can find them on the socials at American Aluminum Accessories, and then you can hit them up toll free, 1-800-277-0869. You don't have to worry about writing all that down. We're going to put it in the show notes. So just scroll down to the bottom, write it down, click the link, takes you straight there onto your phone.
Our first sponsor we ever had, he's our ride or die. He's been with us since the beginning, is Arno over at ALM Canine Equipment. His stuff is so good. Ted, gets suits. Ted's suit, he's had it for a long time. Arno's fixed it. He's taken a million bites on it. It still holds up. The thing's amazing. I've got a suit from him. I love it. Use it all the time. But the main thing that I really love about Arno is his hidden sleeves are ridiculously amazing. They are the best. And his tugs. I usually buy tugs from Arno by the box load. He'll send me a whole bunch of them. I hand them out to the handlers, new handlers when they come in, experienced handlers. They last for a long time. They're amazing. The craft work is great. Arno's doing all the sewing there. He's got pre-made suits. He can do custom-made suits, everything you need out there. And he's out there in sunny Las Vegas. Get on his website, check him out, almcanineequipment.com, almcanineequipment.com. Discount code WD Radio, all caps, 10% off your first order. Check them out. All right, folks, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite with Sinead Imbaro. Magnus made an appearance there with his big old blockhead. So we've talked about how you got into dogs, what led you into the direction that you went, functional fitness for the handlers and for the dogs. Real quick, I want to touch on something. At my pet facility, we have 4 treadmills. They're all treadmills that I bought off of Craigslist for $50. They're human treadmills. We treadmill all the training dogs, police dogs, pet dogs, and every single dog in our daycare. Every single dog every day gets treadmilled. No one else does that, right? We're the only place that does that. My girl, Sarah, that works for me, can get any dog, trained or untrained, on the treadmill within minutes. And what it does for them physically and mentally, especially the mental side, is amazing. It's not a slap mill, it's a regular treadmill. So if the dog doesn't concentrate, flies off the back of the treadmill. So guys, you don't need to spend $1,300 on a dog specific treadmill. Get yours that you're not using. That is you got clothes on. Get that bitch out and get your dog on there. There's tons of YouTube videos on teaching your dog to run on a treadmill. So, okay. So if you have not been paying attention to the news, I don't understand it, but there was a pretty tragic event that happened down in Florida where a condo complex collapsed partially. And then I think now they've raised the whole building. There was a lot of people right away missing. How did that come about that you got there? I'm assuming not far from you. And talk about your experience there.
So it happened on a Thursday night. 3 a.m. in the morning. Call went out that there was a collapse. I'm on Florida Task Force 6, which is located in Fort Myers, although I am living in Miami. So Florida Task Force 1 and 2 were immediately deployed to that site. We were called the next morning. So we got our orders at 8 o'clock in the morning, the Friday. I was in Vegas 2 weeks prior and just traveling back from Vegas, driving, because I went to Vegas to teach. I'm part of the Canine Medic company. So I was teaching their course with them in Las Vegas. So I got that call coming back to Miami. And Thursday night, I got here at 1:30 in the morning, did my laundry, packed my car, and 8 o'clock in the morning, we were activated to head to the site. So I got there, even though I'm 45 minutes away, had to wait for my team to arrive. So we both arrived same time, around 2:30. And I believe at 3 o'clock, we were on the pile. So this is my first deployment for disaster search. And Magnus and I have been training for this for a good 3 years, okay? I mean, we train minimum 2 to 3 times a week. Every chance I got, I was at the training site training for a moment like this. Although in my head, I was never expecting to be on a collapse. I was expecting hurricane disasters. That's all that was going through my head. Never in a million years would I have ever expected something like this. So we get there, I get the call, canine on pile. I come out, I wait, and I'm standing in front of this massive building that's collapsed. It's just pancaked down in a small area, neatly between 2 other condos. And they just said, okay, we need you to search. And I said, okay. And so we get out on the pile, and the smell that I can't even describe it. And I mean, I deal with HR. I imprint a lot of dogs with HR, but this was a smell that just was very overwhelming. There's also a fire going on as well on the pile. So we had to deal with the smoke and everything. So we got on the pile as I was trained, sent him off to search. He searched the entire pile. He did it beautifully. I was very impressed with how well he took it. I mean, there was rebar coming up. There was glass everywhere, slippery. I mean, I had to watch my footing everywhere I went. And I also had to watch him as well, because I was making sure that he wasn't going to fall into a void, even though there's very small voids to be found. We get off the pile, and that first time, there was no sign, no change of behavior, nothing. And so I go back to my base camp, put them up, come back, and my team of 30, they get deployed on the pile, and they start to go to work in removing piece by piece, searching for the victims. And so I would wait until a void was created, until they lifted a slab off, and then we would get back on the pile and start searching. And we did that for 9 days, basically 9 days straight, searching from, our shift started from 12 p.m. till 12 a.m. So we were doing 12-hour shifts.
In the heat of the day, heat-wise.
In the heat of the day, we
yeah.
were lucky as far as it did rain every single day. It was overcast. There was a lot of lightning. Every time there was lightning, all of us would have to get off the pile, wait it out, and then get back on the pile. And I've never seen, I mean, I've worked with a lot of law enforcement, working with firefighters. Those guys got on that pile, sorry, and they just worked their heart out looking for those victims.
Yeah, and they you know, they probably are the same as you. They never thought that, you know, they train for the hurricane stuff. They never thought that this was going to happen in their backyard here, a collapse, a freaking building collapse, really?
Yeah, in the United States.
It was
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, unexpected for sure.
Outside of a hurricane or an explosive. Yeah, in this country, a collapse is just, you know, it was probably difficult for everybody, but you get, you know, those who do anything remotely like this understand you get in it and you're just working.
You're just working 24/7 and you don't stop.
Correct. You have to get through
as much
all
as
that.
As tired as you are, as hungry as you are, even when they were done their shift, they just, all of us, but my team and all the teams, I'm not just saying my team, but all of the teams, they would come back, their boots were ripped apart, their feet were bloody, their hands were tired, or gloves were ripped. They taped each other up, duct tape their boots, get up in the morning, take a shower, and head back out. And that was it. No complaining, nothing. We all just got on that pile. We worked together. There wasn't any bickering. There wasn't any yelling. It was all quiet. And we just had one goal, and that was just to find life. But unfortunately, we couldn't.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. So search and rescue folks, like a lot of cops, especially our gear folks, we got everything, right? If I always tell there's guys I know, I could paint a block of wood black and call it a tactical block of wood. And if it has a holster, they're buying it. So we end up getting all this gear that when it comes down to it, we're like, oh yeah, this will be great. And then we get there and it isn't. Did you find anything that you had been using and preparing that didn't work, and what absolutely did work, as far as the boots you were wearing, your feet, your socks, your whatever gear it was? If it happened again, what would you leave back home and what would you take?
Wow. We had to wear ventilator masks. If I could find a ventilator mask that wasn't so obtrusive, that was, because this one really blocked my eyesight. That would probably be the only thing. I mean, as far as equipment wise goes for Magnus, he doesn't wear equipment on the pile. He doesn't wear booties. He doesn't wear anything like that. He has to go completely naked so he doesn't get caught, or he doesn't slip or anything like that. As far as me, I mean, we're required to wear the big ass heavy boots that were issued. You know, our gloves, we have to wear gloves, we have to wear the mask, our helmet. And that's basically it for me. Anything else that I put on would be, you know, my reward toy for him if he finds someone. And then, you know, I have a backpack for the most part that I would put on with water for him and myself. But for me, it really wasn't, I didn't really need much equipment for him. So I think we were prepared. We were prepared for everything. I mean, we really were. For the training part, we were prepared for everything. For the emotional side of it, I was not. But that's just something that you can't train for. So.
What, real quick, here's something that comes up all the time in law enforcement forums. And it was a whole big thing for me. I could never, my entire career as a cop and a dog handler, I could never get my gloves right. What gloves were you wearing on the pile?
You know, I just bought these gloves. They're from, I think it's called Vitkos, VIT.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Victos? Yeah.
Victos. I got a pair of their pants on right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're.
They had some really nice gloves. It fit because I have long. My hands are small, but they're long fingers. They fit me perfect. I like gloves that they feel like my hand. So they're not too thick on me. So I can, if I grab something, it's not just cloth grabbing something, it's my hand grabbing it with grip. So that's the gloves I liked.
So cool. During all the training, of course, you guys trained a lot. And the one thing that we do a lot too with narcotics, explosives, or any detection work really, is working blinds. So obviously, while you were there, in terms of finding victims alive, there wasn't a ton of success there. What was the strategy that you guys had to manage that for the dogs? Because we talked a little bit in the last segment about endurance. So like the search and rescue dogs and like some of the border patrol dogs and some of the tracking dogs easily have to have the best endurance of any of the working dog side. But then there's the issue of drive endurance. So, I mean, the dogs hunt and hunt and hunt, and they're like, yo, man, like normally in training, when I hunt this long, I find something. So was there any issue with Magnus or with any of the other dogs, like in that respect?
So I get to the point where he would get on the pile, he would search, and he would just turn around and look at me and just keep telling me there's no one here. There's no one here. Unfortunately, I couldn't just take someone and have them hide on the pile and give them that victory. Mm-hmm. So I would basically end up having one of my team members lay a trail down by the beach and just have him find that person down there. And then the other times I would just build up his hunt drive, just take a ball and throw it in the sand dunes and have him hunt. That's the only thing I could do at that point, was either lay a trail or play the hunt games.
I would suspect there's no way to work a rubble pile like that long with all that without getting some dings, nicks, and cuts and things like that. How did the dogs come out overall?
There were some dogs that did get their paws cut with either rebar or the glass. But as you've seen my dog work, he's very, very methodical. Mm-hmm. Luckily, he did not get one scratch on him at all. I'm even shocked, but he didn't get one scratch on him at all. The times that we were on the pile, sometimes we were on there for 20 minutes. Other times I could only have him on there for 3 minutes because it was so hot that I just had to pull him off. One day, the day that it was not raining and it was completely blue sky, we were working that pile for about 8 minutes. Every time I get on the pile, I set my timer to make sure I have an eye on the time, just to make sure that he's not out there too long. 8 minutes, I pulled him off, and I had to take him back to our ambulance and hook him up, give him sub-Q fluids because he was getting a little overheated. But that was also a day that a lot of the rescuers had to come off the pile because they were getting dehydrated as well. So time-wise, it just varied.
So because of like what has happened here, is there any changes that you're going to make to training moving forward, to better prepare you guys for, I hope this never happens again, but I mean, in the event that you guys get asked to go search another pile?
The only thing I need to work on is just better setup in my vehicle for him. I mean, I had my car running 24/7 for him. I just need a proper setup as far as fans, et cetera, goes. That can facilitate that a little bit better. But as far as him being on the pile, I think we did really well. He worked really well with the workers being on the pile. It wasn't a distraction for him. There was, a massive crane that was there. I've never seen a crane so big in my life that was just moving stuff around. He didn't care about it. He didn't care about the bulldozers. He didn't care about the jackhammers. And that's obviously where environmental comes into play when you're, shaping a puppy. So with that aspect of him being on the pile and working, he did great. Again, I just hope that something like that never happens again. But if it does, we'll be there. We'll be there and we'll do the best that we can.
Any conversations with the fire guys about maybe doing some joint work going forward? Because probably don't get to do that as much as we find out you need to.
Well, my task force, like I said, is up in Fort Myers. Because of COVID, we haven't been doing too much training. Luckily, we did some training, maybe 3 to 4 weeks prior to this disaster, believe it or not. So we were able to get him used to all of those noises and people working, and then this happens. So we plan on doing some more training with them throughout the year, as training will be scheduled. But
yeah, that's a crazy situation, man. And then when they have to make the decision to raise the rest of the building, that sucks for everybody. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is a reality, but
it had to be done every time. I mean, every day we would go there, you would see a crack on the building that's just started to get longer and longer and longer, or you would hear a creak. The building would move. There was so many widowmakers. There was like AC units. There was just stuff just dangling. There was a section that we couldn't even go to because it was just too dangerous for us to be there in case something would fall on us. So they had to make that executive decision to demolish the rest of the building.
Yeah, man, and of course, because all you guys were live fine, and when they decided to change from
rescue to recovery,
it obviously the mission changes at that point. And so, I mean, I don't know a ton about any of that stuff, like what they when and how and what determines, but at that point, was that the end of your guys' task force involvement when they switched to recovery from rescue?
And because of what was that hurricane or storm, Elsa was coming our way.
Right.
So because of all the task forces, all the Florida task forces being on the site, they had to pull a couple just in case we had to, go help somebody else. So we were on standby for the weekend for Elsa.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That when I heard when our guy let me know that you were gonna come on, I was like, oh man, we're gonna hear about the thing. And I kind of followed it in the news, and I thought, because we wanted to have other search and rescue people on too, and there's been some like issues about what's available and what's not available to talk about and everything else. But it's so. I think there's no question about what we do is extremely important in terms of, like you're talking about, the dogs go out into their community and they work really well, and that's one of the most rewarding things. And when you go out, and Eric and I talk about this all the time, the FBI, the DOJ, or somebody says that X number of tracks are successful, and they determine a successful track by finding somebody at the end, or the correct person. And everyone knows that dudes get picked up by the old lady, or they get picked up by the homies, and they take off. And the dog's not necessarily wrong. And in your case, they're at least eliminating areas where they shouldn't search. So, I've been part of a search where there was a country singer that was lost, and he drowned in the lake. And we had some guys come down from St. Louis with cadaver dogs, and the teams that we were working with were not real like up on wanting the dogs to be around, and the dogs ended up kind of eliminating a lot of areas, but they were like, oh, we've already searched it, and an area where 2 of the dogs were continuing to try to go up to, they ended up finding his body. But the state agency that was responsible swore up and down, left and right, and front and back, and every other direction you could think of, that they'd already covered that. And
you can never replicate a dog's nose. I mean,
nope.
you can't. And if you train a dog properly, And these dogs have been trained properly, because I'm not just saying that because they're there, but I mean, they have to go through state testing and everything. It's just, if you train a dog properly, the dog does its job, there's nothing that can replicate it. Not a robot, not a person, nothing. Nothing can replicate that dog's nose in finding that odor, whether it be a live odor or whether it be human remains. And in this case, all the human remains dogs did a phenomenal job locating those victims. And all of the live find dogs did a phenomenal job just working their asses off, searching every single part of that pile, looking for breath or human life.
Yeah. And, you know, had there been anything, it probably would have been because the dogs, if there was, it probably would have been because they were there, because the enormity of that situation of like, well, where do you start? And,
exactly.
And that's the thing, like, you know, the live find dogs, it's like, you know, even if they don't find anybody alive, it doesn't mean that they were unsuccessful.
Yeah.
One, because nobody was there to find, but two, if they had, it would have, I mean, it could have shortened it from days to minutes to finding them. And, you know, so that's why I kind of asked like the question whether they had some issues like searching for so long and not finding anybody. And I mean, continuing to have to send the dog up knowing, and him turning around being like, there's just nothing for me to find, man.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and it's so crazy, because we'll do that in training, you know, sometimes we'll go out and there'll be no one on the pile, you know, and I'll even set up scenarios where I'll have some of my quote unquote victims come with me, and I'll have the handlers stay back, and then I'll tell the victims to like literally just walk around the pile and go sit in your car or go sit somewhere else. So the handler thinks that there's a victim on the pile. They've seen me with those victims to go hide them. And they have to look at their dog's behavior, and the dog will just search that pile and then come back and say, there's no one here. And then they'll keep pushing the dog and pushing the dog. And then look at me and they'll say, my dog says there's no one here, but I saw you put someone, you know, you're walking over to the pile. I said, you need to trust your dog. There's no one here.
I do that all the time. I put those blank hide boxes out all the time with nothing in them.
Yeah.
The
right.
handlers are like, but I can see it. Yeah.
You have to do it, you know,
Yeah,
so your dog, so you can
100%.
read that behavior. But when you see it, when it's real time and your dog does it and it looks at you and says, there's no one here, you're like, okay,
yeah,
we're done. That's it.
Yeah, because that's a call to make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a call to make.
It is.
Say, listen, we can probably eliminate, I would stress me out, but we can eliminate this area here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, let's focus over here on that.
It's tough. It was a tough, like I said, emotionally, I was not prepared. It was the energy there at that pile was, I can't even describe that feeling. How quiet it was, how everyone was working. The pressure you feel from the families and the community, hoping that you'll find someone.
Yeah, that was, I didn't mention that, but yeah, I mean, they think that the dogs show up, and because they're there, that means that there's going to be a positive outcome.
Yeah.
And that's like,
it's tough.
I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you know,
and you want it. I mean, you want it. Yeah. And it's not, I'm not wanting it for ego. I want to find someone for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that story. That was super intense. And when we talked about this this weekend when we were going to do the show, and I was like, how is that going to go? And we were like, I'm just going to let her tell the story. I don't know how it's going to go, but it was super intense. I'm grateful that you were able to tell it. And because, you know, it's an extremely important, and like you said, like Eric and I said, and you said it before I could even ask the question, like, you know, you normally think you're going to deploy to like some kind of terrorist deal or some kind of natural event or something, that not in the United States where, you know, shit just falls down. and
Yeah.
for no reason. And I mean, at that point, you're kind of like, it doesn't require some natural event or a terrorist event or anything for the resources to have to be used. And I hope that a lot of the emergency services and the fire side is a little better, I think, at it than the law enforcement side is, because the scope's a little narrower. But I hope that everybody sees that, and they prepare, and they look at like the town that they're in, like even the town I'm in. I mean, it's kind of weird, but Tulsa has the same architect and the same company that built the Twin Towers in New York City built our largest building here, and it's a massive building. It's huge, over 100 stories, huge. And when this happened, I was kind of downtown because I live almost downtown. I thought, I'm kind of looking around at stuff, and I'm like, holy shit. And so it kind of makes you think, and all of a sudden, like, I think every canine handler in the country is like, yeah, this could probably happen. Like, or every search and rescue handler, like, yeah, this could happen at any time. It doesn't necessarily have to be a weather event. It doesn't necessarily have to be a terrorist event or anything. So,
No,
yeah, I appreciate
no,
it.
not at all.
So, if we want to, oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I did have a lot of handlers reach out to me, law enforcement, a lot of search and rescue that have been deployed and have experienced some type of traumatic event such as this, and they shared their stories with me, which has helped. I don't think people know the effects that something like this could have on a person. So I think it's important that people know that, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to share it. It's okay to get help. And I just wanted to share that with everyone.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. When we had on Pepper's handler, Dave Nielsen, he kind of had echoed the same thing. He handled for an SMU military, and he lost Pepper on a deployment, and obviously had several other related things. But he said the same thing, and that was the way that he dealt with it. He was like, I go on and do interviews and talk about it, and it helps me. So yeah, and I mean, there are resources available for anybody that has that kind of stuff going on, and it's an ever-present topic in the military side, especially. I don't think it gets talked about enough in law enforcement, and definitely not in fire. I have several friends that are in the fire side, and they have a pretty dark sense of humor, and they kind of like joke about it. And I think to the couple of guys that I'm thinking of, they joke about it, and I think that's their way of like normalizing it. I don't know. I don't know that the shit that they see is ever going to be normalized. Like, you don't normalize seeing people getting maimed and like this stuff. I don't know how that gets normalized. But yeah, I mean, there is no shame in talking about it. There's no shame in asking for help. That's for damn sure. So, speaking of asking for help, if people want to train with you, where would we get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me at Georgia Canine. I do a lot of detection training there. If they wanted to do some other type of training other than detection or trailing, like obedience or starting their puppy, they can reach out to me, and I can always give you guys my contact information for them to reach out.
Yeah, and you're on Instagram. It's just your name, right? Sinead Imbaro.
Yes, Instagram and Facebook.
We'll put it out. We'll put it in the show notes, and it'll be in the thing. So yeah. E, what about you?
Van S K9 on Instagram, Van S K9 Academy on Facebook for police stuff, and then pet stuff is Ridgeside K9 Ohio. How about you?
Ted_Summers is pets and police, and then we have Torchlight Pets and Torchlight K9 on the Instagram and the Facebook, and then of course we have HRD, and then we have Working Dog Radio has its own Facebook and Instagram too, where we do put all the show notes and all that kind of stuff in there too. And then also the Patreon. You put up a bunch of videos. I put up an article. I had a conversation with somebody recently that is in the legal field that was not really well informed on some things, and it got me thinking. So I wrote an article for Patreon and put it up there, and gotten some good reviews or gotten some good feedback on it. And you're doing which dog is that, Jack? That you're
Vinny. I was doing a whole box protocol with Vinny.
Right.
From start imprinting on boxes on the first odor all the way through all the odors. I was trying to do it originally with Jack and Ronnie, and they ruined that by biting the boxes and destroying everything. And I had to completely do Jack differently, which I showed, which was, again, same as Ronnie, was a, an indirect reward protocol that worked out real well. But the Vinny one is just showing on a pretty regular Malinois that's imprinting on boxes what that looks like and how easy it can be, but how the minutia matters. The small little things that matter. So it's turned out pretty good. So I have them on all the odors. I think I'm done with that series, and we'll see what's up next. So Sinead, thanks for coming on. I think I mentioned it. We were in Indiana. I would like to get you on there. And it's crazy how it worked out that we ended up finishing with that story that didn't exist, when we met. Yeah. Life is insane, man. It's crazy how stuff like this goes.
Yeah.
And what's next for you real quick? Just some more training, a little bit of downtime, or no?
No, I'm actually preparing for the Canine Olympics up in Indiana at the Bond Lake Kennels.
Oh, yeah.
So that's coming up August 8th to the 13th, I believe. So we plan on making a mark there and hopefully bringing home some awards.
All right. All right. We'll be watching. Are they going to live stream it? Some of it?
I don't know. Maybe. They might.
They should
pay attention.
They might.
Somebody call Kenny. They should.
Kenny's like, live stream. What the hell's that?
Yeah, I know. Kenny,
he's like, flips open his phone. I called Danny to ask him what a live stream is.
When we had him on the show, he was like, how the fuck does this work? And I'm like, dude, it's just a microphone, just talking to it. And he's like,
I don't know these podcast things.
Bullshit. Yeah. Everybody knows Kenny.
Okay. All right, I got to go to the kennel. Surprise.
Yeah, me too. Thanks again, Sinead. It was really good. On that note, we'll see everybody later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.